Hi, I'm Mr. Simons, and in this video we're going to look at the terms of trade, the TOT. We're going to have a detailed look in what it is, what it shows, and what it doesn't show. Oh, so important to know. And we'll do a couple of practice questions to see how it could be examined. Okay, let's get started. So here we are. What is the terms of trade? The terms of trade, the TOT. You can see here, Microsoft doesn't love that abbreviation, but that's okay. We know better. So the terms of trade measures the relative movements in the prices of Australia's exports and imports over a period of time. Now, this would measure those same things for any country over a period of time. All countries would take a look at their terms of trade. So to put it really simply, what we could say is terms of trade is a ratio of a country's export prices to its import prices. And there is a simple formula to work it out. Terms of trade equals the export price index over the import price index times 100. We're not going to go into what actually makes up these indices in this video. We're just doing quite a high level look at what it is basically and how do you do simple terms of trade calculations. So here we are at this next point, and when I say the important thing, that's an underestimation, that this is essential. I've seen so many people make mistakes in this area over time, and I want you to avoid it, please. Please avoid it. I'd like you to try and avoid it. So the key thing here is that the terms of trade looks at changes in export and import prices. And make this even bigger. It does not measure changes in export or import volumes. Other element is that the terms of trade tells, not you, but tells us, the quantity of imports a country can buy based on the prices it receives for its exports. This is worth breaking down a little bit more. Export prices relate to export revenue. So how much money a country receives for its export. This revenue is then used to buy imports. So if we have a higher terms of trade, an improvement in the terms of trade, then export prices are rising faster relative to import prices. So Australia can afford to buy more imports. Okay, this is an important point. So the terms of trade, the relative rise of the prices of exports compared to imports, that's telling us how many imports, the quantity of imports that a country can buy for a given quantity of exports. So the terms of trade tells us the quantity of imports that can be bought with a given quantity of exports. Okay, let's move along. Just remember, terms of trade, prices, not volumes. When we're looking at this point, we can stretch it out further, but the number that the terms of trade gives us, it's just about relative prices, not volumes. Okay, what does the terms of trade specifically show? Here we go. If export prices are rising faster relative to import prices, the terms of trade is improving and Australia can buy more imports with the same quantity of exports because Australia's export prices are rising faster than import prices. If we flip the script, Flip the script. If we do that, we go over here. The terms of trade is deteriorating. Australia can actually buy fewer imports with the same quantity of exports because import prices are rising faster than export prices. So even though I've put greater than here, it probably really shouldn't be greater than. It's just kind of like import prices are not necessarily larger, they are rising faster than export prices. Okay, so very important to know these two situations. Can I now take you through some practice questions? Would that be okay with you? So we're looking at some past HSC questions on the terms of trade. HSC, if you don't know, is in New South Wales, Australia, our end of high school exams. And I'll put a link in the description. So this comes from the HSC exam in 2009, so a few years ago. So what it says a few years ago, 10 years ago. Oh man, that's crazy. Okay, so it says here the table shows data for a nation's terms of trade. So we can see here we've got years and we've got our export price index and our import price index. Nothing too confusing here. So you can see here that this is 100 and this is 100, 110, 106, 115, 110. Fantastic. And then what they do is they give you a series of options. So what I like to do is, before I even get into this question, is I'm going to put this terms of trade figure as my third column. Sorry, as my fourth column. So here, the terms of trade here, this is the base year. The terms of trade here is just 100. Here I've got 110, 106. So I know that for this year, so I've got 100 for the first year base year, 104, 105. So what we can see here is, first statement, that the terms of trade improved from year 1 through to year 3. The terms of trade did improve from year 1 to year 3 because you can see here, year 1 was 100, year 3, 105. B says they deteriorated year 1 to year 3. Incorrect. Here it says they deteriorated from year 1 to year 2. That's not correct. And then improved from 2 to 3. That is correct. Third one says they improved from year 1 to year 2. Correct. And deteriorated from 2 to 3. Incorrect. So our answer in this situation would be A. Very simple once we've done the calculation ourselves. Our next question is a little more recent. It comes from the 2013 New South Wales Economics HSC. It says here, the following table shows the volume and price of exports and imports for 2 years. So my spidey sense is starting to tingle. Because remember, the terms of trade is price, not volumes. So if we're looking at the terms of trade, we need to be focused on this column here. So the question then asks us, how have the terms of trade and the volume of net exports changed between year 1 and year 2? A little bit to calculate here. We should make this bigger. Bigger again. At least 3 times the size. That's better. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's start by working out the terms of trade. So the terms of trade in year 1 is going to simply be 100 because you can see price is 100, price is 100. For year 2, it's going to be going to be 105. So what I can do is I can come down to this question and I can look at these terms of trade, and I know that the terms of trade has risen between year 1 and year 2. So all I've got now is to decide between A and D. Now our next part is to think about net exports. So you can see here that in year 1, net exports is 0 because the volume is 100 for exports and 100 for imports. So it gives us 0. But in year 2, the volume of exports is 105 and the volume of imports is 110. So net exports is -5. So you can see from 0 to -5, net exports has actually fallen. So just to clarify, this risen part relates to here, and this decreased part relates to here. And this is an excellent example of how the terms of trade is about price and not volumes. Okay, so here was a detailed look at the terms of trade. Thank you so much for watching. So much more content on the channel. Check it out. Leave us a comment. Like it if it was useful. That'd be very useful for me. And as always, thanks for your time.